Welcome to the first episode of Beyond Books. And this is the podcast where we'll be aiming at getting into deep dive into the education system and how the shift has happened in the education as well as the mental well-being. I'm Chetan Jaiswal, the founder and CEO of MyPeegu, and I'll be talking more on the subject which has become a need of an hour at this point of time. Welcome to your own office, ma'am.
Hello. Thank you. I'm feeling very welcome. Thank you so much.
So once again, welcome to the Beyond Books podcast. And it's such an indeed pleasure and honor for us to have you in today's episode.
What a beautiful name for this podcast, Beyond Books.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Please have a seat. Let's start our conversation, what we have come for.
Thank you so much.
I've been honored that I've been able to sit somebody whom I've known for quite some time. And she's the one person who has seen the first-hand transformation in the education system. Now, Miss Rupa Chakraborty, she is one of the very eminent personality who has been the director of Suncity Gurgaon. And she is the one person who has been bringing huge transformation into the education space. She's been the pioneering force in the education system. She has actually redefined how student experiences the school life. I really wish even I had the principal like her when I was in the school days. Now, Miss Rupa Chakravarty has actually brought in with her innovative approaches, like she is the first one who has eliminated the school bell to foster the time management among the students. Also, she started a TAG program, which is all about talented and gifted program, which will really help the children to nurture their own self-development and also make them more independent. Now, this kind of approaches makes her a very much forward-thinking, and the kind of vision she brings us on the table, which really transforms the education system. Once again, ma'am, it's a pleasure to be meeting you, and thank you so much for taking out your time.
What an honor for me to be here. It's a pleasure and a privilege, Chetan, having known you for so long. And the way you have evolved is a matter of pride for me to be associated with you and to have this establishment or connection with MyPeegu, which is like crossing the borders of the country, and it has spread its wings and is now in other countries. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. So, ma'am, आज का जो हम बात करने वाले हैं यहाँ पे एक चीज़ है यहाँ पे कि जो इतना शिफ्ट हो रहा है, स्पेशली कोविड के बाद में काफ़ी कुछ शिफ्ट हुआ है एजुकेशन इंडस्ट्री में, आप भी बहुत वेल ट्रैवल पर्सनालिटी यू आर. सो विल डीप डाइव, विल अंडरस्टैंड कि हाउ द होल शिफ्ट इज़ हैपनिंग, और हमारा जो एजेंडा है वो है चेंजिंग लैंडस्केप इन द एजुकेशन विच इज़ सेटिंग अप द स्टेज फॉर द फ्यूचर. आई थिंक एक चीज़ मैं आपसे पहले पूछना चाहूँगा कि इट्स बीन मोर देन अ ईयर आई हैव बीन विजिटिंग योर स्कूल. One thing I've always noticed, the day one when I came down and today when I came back again, from the time the security guard to the reception area, right, administration staff, to all your teaching staff or your supporting staff, everybody greets everyone who walks into the school with a broad smile, right, and they greet the person. तो कहीं ना कहीं एक सेंस ऑफ बिलोंगिंग आ जाती है. You don't feel like an outsider, It's one world where you feel connected.
Right.
So what was the whole idea about this particular concept? Because I have not seen this anywhere.
So that's exactly what the idea was, what you said, that you get a sense of belonging. And when I started explaining to children that they have to wish, this is a very boarding school ethos. And I've been raised in the boarding school.
Right.
When I have to explain to the children, and I always give them logic. And I ask them that when you go to someone's place and somebody just turns away, do you feel welcome? And they said no. And these are little ones I ask usually.
Right.
And I said, so what should we do when somebody comes into our house? The school is our house. And they all said that we should wish. So when you elicit an answer from them, they feel that particular action belongs to them, you see, and then they start doing it. So it's a way that I adopt or adapt in teaching anything to the children, where they give me the answer and they feel a sense of belonging to that answer or to that action, And it comes, of course, like you said, from the fact that you may people feel welcome?
I think कहीं ना कहीं जहाँ पे मुझे भी एक feeling आती है कि एक humanistic touch is very much required, and which is something which you have been doing a predominantly a great job, ma'am. I think this is where you are actually a role model for a lot of the people around you. Now, moving from the humanistic approach, the world is getting shaped up, especially education today has been getting shaped up by the technology. And when we talk about how can we miss about the artificial intelligence, right? And especially when we talk about artificial intelligence, as on today, whether it's a personalized chatbot or children learning through the tutoring AI tutoring platforms, or in fact it's really giving them more personalized experience. What do you think? What is your opinion when it comes about artificial intelligence? Because the children have started getting too much integrated into our technology aspects of it. Unki padhai, unka the way they think, they talk in the language, what actually we might be getting surprised sometimes about the same thing. And आपको लगता है कहीं ना कहीं these AI is actually helping them to grow their own perspective, or is it becoming, it's going to be harming, or is it harming them more than doing a good over here? That's one aspect of it. Second aspect I also want to hear from you. Most of the teachers and the parents, अब क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि स्क्रीन टाइम बहुत बढ़ गया है हमारा, राइट? इसको कम कैसे करें? एंड आपको लगता है आने वाले टाइम पे जो हमारी जो ट्रेडिशनल टीचिंग मेथड्स हैं, do you think that's going to be an obsolete? Is it going to be a little threat for the teaching community?
Immediately, the few thoughts which come to my mind, AI, absolutely imperative to have AI. All the mundane jobs of collecting data, analyzing data, and setting it to give us ready-made answers immediately is the advantage.
Right.
By ready-made answers, I do not mean to say that go to ChatGPT and get answers. I mean to say if you have to collect information and data, it's present for you.
Right.
What AI cannot do is it cannot have the vision a human being has.
Correct.
It cannot formulate innovative, creative things that a human being can.
Correct.
It cannot be responsible for social connections, etc. In the sense, social media is about connecting, but it is not about connections.
Yes.
Right? There's a difference between connecting and connections. The human connection is very important. The grandmother or grandfather who can't travel, and when they do a video call,
right,
and that connection, the bonding that happens
right,
between the grandchild and the grandparent,
right,
that is the advantage.
Right.
But the absolute important thing to remember is it doesn't have a vision.
Yeah.
And it cannot bring in creative things. It can only give us data and information, and how we process it depends on us. So it can never make a teacher redundant,
Right.
because the teacher will always be required to make sure that that data and that information is processed,
Right.
and something innovative comes out of it.
Right, right. I think आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बोली मैम यहाँ पे कि connection, which I in today's fast world, somewhere we actually miss out the connection what we always seek for. I was in one of the countries recently, and I saw that in few of the schools they are actually putting robot dogs at the corridor, and they were saying that robot dogs will really help to guard the children, and they should not be disturbing the whole corridors and all. But वो humanistic touch फिर कहीं ना कहीं miss हो जाएगा, क्योंकि that's what we humans are for. क्योंकि हमारे जो current generation है, their IQ is brilliant, and EQ can only grow up only with the humanistic approach and the connection which you have spoken.
Absolutely.
Right. So moving from the AI aspects, I think there's also a sudden shift is happening overall, when it talks about career evolution. I mean, अगर मैं बात करूँ for the millennials, when they were young, they never used to think about too much about the career aspects until unless they used to hit 10th, 11th kind of thing. But now generation, suddenly the earning capacity of the children has become much more early. Because earlier it used to be 25, then you start getting into a job and all. But now children are able to earn, or they are able to explore certain career options. And children are started thinking much more in a younger way about what career has to be spoken about. whenever I have interacted with the children, they talk about, I need to be a YouTuber, I want to be an influencer, I want to be a tech entrepreneur, right? And they have been thinking in various angles. So what do you think, how the school and the parents should be able to really shape up the thoughts of the children when they have this kind of vision about their career shift?
The children is what the parents and the school make it. And I call it the Trinity Triangle. The third aspect is the child, where the child's imagination, aspirations come together to bring out something creative and innovative. Right? What we can perform, a parent and the teachers, we can perform multifaceted learning atmospheres or surroundings or platforms. So I'll give you an example. Like in this school, when we are teaching physics, the concept of force, they go to the field and they are given 5 different kinds of balls and they have to kick it. And so the child who learns through sports understands it very well, because if you have a basketball, you have a tennis ball, you have a cricket ball, a golf ball, and you have a soccer ball. When you kick it, then you understand the force you are putting on that particular ball and how the mass determines the acceleration, right? So that's one. When you go for music and you learn physics through music, how a particular noise resounds more if it's put on glass rather than on leather. So things like that, to give them multiple platforms to learn through. Yeah. What happens is now the child has his imagination and his aspiration.
Right.
He then learns in a very unique way, which you cannot teach it. You can only provide that platform, right?
Right.
So that is when the children will understand, oh, all right, with music, this can happen. I can do physics, but I can do music and physics together,
right.
you know?
Right.
I can do sports and physics.
Right.
So that is what is evolving now. It's no more compartments. It's an integrated way of learning, and this integrated way of learning. And I believe my children are going to be on Mars. They are going to be on the moon, living there. Right. I have a child who has shown how he's going to use centrifugal force to generate electricity on moon.
Wow.
So look at what the children are learning, because we also have the world's first multiple intelligences learning center. So they've seen certain things there, and what their imagination and their aspirations are, they are manifesting that.
Absolutely. You know? Absolutely. I think you have beautifully said ki aspiration and imagination, which is a major strength of the generation Alpha.
So true. So true.
And only thing is we have to give them a right direction over here. Yeah. Like you rightly said, हमारे time पे we used to be told कि आपको ये career choose करना है, because we know it very well, right? आज के time में अगर हम बच्चों को बोलेंगे, वो बोलेंगे hold on, I know I have to decide my own career. And beautifully you said कि it's all about knowing your aspirations and your imagination, your own hobby and passion, combining it. So there's no Monday blues going to be happening.
Absolutely.
You're going to be in a vocation.
Yes.
You know, not vacation, but vocation throughout your life.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing. You know, that's why sometimes I feel कि काश मेरे time पे ऐसे school होने चाहिए थे जहाँ पे, you know, I would have really enjoyed my school life. Yes. Now, moving from the career aspects, career goals aspects now, I think एक और सबसे बड़ी चीज़ जो मैं देख रहा हूँ globally education platform पे is understanding about their own identity. कहीं ना कहीं एक तरीके से gender identity, it's not become no longer a social reform. It's become relevant in the school industry also. It used to be in the western part of the world, but slowly it's come down in the country also over here, because the kind of overall exposure what our children are getting on the broader spectrum of how somebody has to address them, it's becoming quite challenging for the teachers also. Like मैं आपको बताऊँ, मैं recently I was in one of the Asian countries. And I was just came out from my one of the visits, and I saw a bus coming in, and this bus had written down that I am not a bus, but I am a train today. Right? So कहीं ना कहीं इतना हमारा environment और ecosystem has been happening around कि आप कितना avoid भी करना चाहोगे, unfortunately we can't because there is a overall exposure is there. So what do you think, what challenges the teachers are going to be facing and how to handle, how to help the children to get them that what exactly they are looking forward for?
So I think that identity, which we said was a child, is becoming redundant slowly.
Right.
The child understands that I'm not just a human being.
Yeah.
I have multiple identities because I'm multifaceted.
Right. Right.
That is what we need to change and understand and evolve with, you know. There is a very famous saying, Samati Sarti iti sansaram. The world is ever evolving. And that is exactly what COVID was. It was just nature's way of making us evolve.
Yeah, correct,
Right.
correct.
So that is one thing which is constant change. We know this. But how we change the sails to adjust to these changes is what will make our ship sail.
Absolutely. I mean, it's important for us to really, as you rightly said, जो आपने initially चालू किया था कि connection really matters a lot over here. And कहीं ना कहीं अगर हम connection बना के चलेंगे बच्चों के साथ में तो we exactly know what they are thinking about it and how to sail through the whole thing. Absolutely right. Now, एक और पॉइंट आता है मैम जहाँ पे मैंने जितने बच्चों से मैंने बातचीत करी है एंड आई लव टू इंटरेक्ट विद द चिल्ड्रन ऑल एंड आई केम अक्रॉस कि कहीं ना कहीं चिल्ड्रन बिकम वेरी सेंसिटिव. हमारी जो जनरेशन थी पहले की, तो अगर हम हम थोड़ा सा ओल्ड स्कूल में बात कर रहा हूँ मैं यहाँ पे, हमारी जनरेशन इनकी जनरेशन, बट आई थिंक इट बिकम्स वेरी ईजी फॉर द व्यूअर्स ऑल्सो टू रियली अंडरस्टैंड कि ड्यूरिंग आवर टाइम व्हेन एनीथिंग यूज्ड टू बी टोल्ड वी नेवर यूज्ड टू टेक इट सो मच टू आवर हार्ट. Now children become very sensitive, very emotional over here, right? Suddenly somebody is raising the voice, they feel something bad. They take it to their heart. So kahin na kahin that really pushes them to take some extreme steps when it comes for the self-harming we talk about, or they get disheartened that, let me take an extreme step. Could be many reasons. Could be bullying, could be family pressure, could be peer pressure, could be academics and everything around. So what do you have to give a suggestion from a point of view as a school, as a leadership team for the teachers and for the parents, that what they need to keep it in mind that the children are not getting into those zones and really helping and supporting them?
First and foremost, life is getting tougher and we are trying to make our children's life easier. Yeah. The first dichotomy starting here, right? There are people in certain parts of the globe, a lot of people from the Western countries moved to India. Right. And I remember them saying, Mrs. Chakravarty, the part of the world we are coming from, or I'm coming from, there are no competitions. And I heard it enough number of times and I used to answer them individually. Then once I decided in the annual fiesta, I would bring it up. So I have only one thing to say to you. Get rid of the promotions in the corporate world and I will get rid of competitions in the school. I'm not going to leave my children to be thrown into the deep end of the sea when I have not taught them to swim. We have to make sure that we are teaching them with the end in mind. And what is the objective of education? To prepare them for the real world. So that is what we need to do. Prepare them for the real world and give them this kind of readiness, first thing. So when you go into competition, you toughen because you are competing and you know this is going to be there. Today, the parents say, "Kya khana hai tumhe aaj?" Again, we are telling our children that what you want in life is what you will get. Yeah. We are preparing them in a very wrong way. What we need to say is this is what you will get. But we tell them, what do you want? When they go out into the real world, they suddenly realize it is not about what you want. It is what is doled out to you, irrespective of your feelings, your actions. It's going to happen. So let us start remembering There are certain things which were good in the good old conventional way of teaching. We must call a spade a spade. Even schools have become very wary and only want to praise children. Now, again, here we are weakening them, we are mollycoddling them. They cannot take any kind of negative feedback. And that leads to what you are talking about, extreme steps. So let us remember that everything that is new is not good, or everything that is old is not bad. We have to have the discerning power to choose what is good for our children. Tell them that you have to do this, and there'll be certain times when you can ask their opinion. But that discerning power and that power of tolerance, of resilience, of tenacity, they must build in their children.
So I think that somewhere the ownership lies with the parents?
And the school.
And the school.
And the school.
Okay. And you said very nicely that there's a point of manifestation has to be built in by the parents to their children. अब जैसे कई बार क्या होता है कि हम ओवर प्रोटेक्टिव हो जाते हैं बच्चों को लेकर, एंड जैसे कि तुमसे नहीं हो पाएगा, डोंट डू इट, तुम गिर जाओगे, तो कहीं ना कहीं those thoughts and feelings we are only putting in the children.
Absolutely.
In their mind. इसी के थ्रू एक और while talking to you, suddenly one question comes to my mind. Since we talk about negative and positive, what is failure? Failure is negative or positive?
For me, failure is how you accept it. If you accept it with the thought that I have to change, it is positive. If you accept it with the thought I can't do anything, then it is definitely negative, right? So it's your mindset actually. Failure is a situation. It's your mindset which determines whether it's positive or negative.
It's all about the way you think and the way you inculcate your feelings and all, and that will really turn out to be what you're thinking about it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. अब आई थिंक हमने बच्चों के बारे में तो हम ये बात कर रहे हैं, एक और चीज़ मेरे जहन में आ रही है मैम टू आस्क यू कि कहीं ना कहीं बच्चे अपने रिस्पेक्ट जो एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है, राइट, सर्टनली दे रिस्पेक्ट देयर पेरेंट्स अ लॉट, नो डाउट अबाउट इट, बट कहीं ना कहीं क्वेश्चंस अबाउट द ट्रेडिशन, अबाउट द कल्चर, व्हाई शुड आई बी डूइंग इट, इज इट रियली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर मी टू टेक इट फॉरवर्ड ओवर हियर, एंड दिस बिकम्स क्वाइट अ कंसर्निंग फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द पेरेंट्स कि हमने जितना सीखा, कैन माई चिल्ड्रन विल टेक इट फॉरवर्ड ओवर हियर. सो व्हाट इज योर व्यूज ओवर हियर?
So I think there's one word which is predominant in our school. Anybody who comes to our school or is associated with our school is very aware of this word, and the word is sanskar. So if you start putting those sanskars in your child from a young age, the child will understand the values, not the value. So that difference between value and values is just an S, but what a huge diametrically opposite meanings are to be found here. We always talk about value of something and not the values. Let's start talking values, and let's start imbibing those values in our children from a very young age. We have to see why the Japanese are so successful. If I look at them, it begins from the way they wish. They bend down in all humility, and I'm sure you're aware that the 5th level of leadership, which is the highest level of leadership, the one word which resonates with a true leader is humility. So I think that's the very important thing we need to teach our children. The second thing we need to teach our children is courage. We are not teaching them courage. We tell them stories and teach them about people who have fought the wars. But we have never told them that you may also have to fight battles in your life. Wars are not fought only at the border. They are fought every day in the life. But we are not teaching our children those battles. The third thing is compassion, We have to teach them compassion. And compassion not with words, but with our actions. Walk the talk and teach them compassion. And to make sure that you are thinking about others before you think about yourself. This is a wrong thing that is being taught to children. And that wrong thing is, think about yourself first. Like they say in the plane, put on your mask first. But no, I believe very strongly that think about others first. And there's a very famous 4 lines which I love. And can I quote that?
Please, go ahead, please.
So that says, each morning as I wake, I ask myself how I can achieve. I know by doing I succeed, but by giving I receive. So let's teach our children first to give, and that will make sure that all's well with the world.
Very nice. I think I'm going to borrow this line every day for my positive affirmation manifestation, right? It's a beautiful thing what you've spoken about. And kahin na kahin hamare sanskar is actually talks about all the 4 values what you've spoken about. But because of too much of our rat race, what we've been doing it, running around, hum ek hi cheez bolte hain ki we are doing for our kids. Hum kiske liye kar rahe hain? Hum bachchon ke liye kar rahe hain. But I think somewhere we lose out the very basic things what you've beautifully spoken about. If we're just being a little conscious about our approach toward the children, as you rightly said, it's not something rocket science.
Of course.
Right? This easily can be integrated to the children.
Exactly.
Right. एक और चीज़ थी मेरे दिमाग में आ रही थी मैम to ask you कि I'll just give you a quick small incident. I was in grade 7th and I was studying in one of the schools in North India. So now what happened was I was very bad with my studies. Always been very poor in my.
That's being humble, I guess.
So I remember one of my teacher walked in and she was distributing question papers. Answer sheets. And she said कि अब जिसके जो marks आए अब आप मैं roll number बताऊंगी and you have to speak loudly. And of course, being very poor in the academics, I felt very ashamed about it. Right? So somewhere मेरा confidence कहीं ना कहीं break होना चालू हो गया था. Whereas the next teacher comes in another different subject wise. She says कि hey, you know what? She distributed to everybody कि आपके answer sheets हैं, but she didn't distribute to 5 students, जिसमें मैं भी एक था. Saying that कि मैं आपको distribute नहीं करूँगी because you have to promise me कि in the upcoming examination you will perform much better. I'm gonna help you out. So I experienced 2 sides of the teachers. One who said you have to stand up and you have to loudly say. One who said I don't want your self-esteem to get hurt and I'm there to support you and help you out. तो ये एक सवाल है मैम यहाँ पे कि do you see that teachers can make the future and can they also become an obstacle for the students?
Of course, there is no doubt about it. I know I was poor in maths. I came to grade 11, I got a fantastic teacher. And I was so interested in maths then because I did maths till grade 12. And I suddenly realized that my base was already so weak that I could not go beyond grade 12 with mathematics because my previous teachers weren't as good as the teacher I had in grade 11. So absolutely rightly said that the teachers, along with parents, because there's much more intervention from parents today, because earlier times parents thought the teachers were the gurus and they left their children with that faith with the teacher saying or thinking that they will do the best for my child. Today, there is opposition in some places. We are just lucky to have very good parents who don't question us, I guess. But I know of many schools where there's a lot of opposition sometimes from parents, questioning teachers. Now, whether they're right or wrong, I don't want to get into because COVID has brought forth in some schools, in some places where the teachers weren't delivering something good, and also a fantastic set of teachers who gave an example and told parents that they were the best to impart learning or education to their children, So there are all kinds, it takes all kinds to make the world. We just have to have faith. And when, like you said, that teacher had faith in you, and that is a happy memory you've carried and it built up your character. So we have to remember that parents need to have faith, teachers need to have faith on the parents too. And then together, This Trinity triangle is about the child at the apex and the parents and the teachers at the base. Any angle changes, the apex angle also changes when the base angle changes. And this is simple mathematics. And they must understand that teachers and parents have to work together to ensure that the child's potential is fully realized. Later, what the child wants to do today is way ahead of what a parent knows and what a teacher knows. Because there's such a plethora of avenues that are available to children. I'm telling you, the children surprise me by showing me their knowledge every day in school. They are far ahead of me. I won't talk about other teachers. I can tell you they're far ahead of me. They know such lovely, lovely things, such important things that I am not aware of. And I learn from my children in school,
I think I couldn't agree much with you over here, when you spoke about that children become much smarter, right? And as I always believed, the IQ of these children is phenomenal over here.
Yes.
They can always surprise all of us.
Phenomenal, I agree. Yes.
And आपने एक बहुत important और बहुत अच्छी बात आपने करी है, faith. I think वो faith as a humankind, we need to have the faith in everything what's happening around. At the same time, अगर वो faith कहीं भी अगर थोड़ा सा भी अगर हिलता है, shaken up होता है, चाहे वो parent हो या teacher हो, हमारे behavior then it changes drastically.
So,
right? And कहीं ना कहीं मैम parents are the first teachers.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. आपको लगता है कहीं कई बार over involvement of the parents also become an obstacle for the child growth, or neglect over here also becomes an obstacle? So what is your take on that?
So I'm smiling because I felt COVID was a good lesson that was taught to everybody. I think at the end of it, the parents said, please go to school, and the teachers are the best people to teach you. So I think if you ask me today, I'll say parents have learned through COVID that the best place their children can learn is in the school. And it's not that easy when you work and your life, balancing it both at the same time. And it's better to leave it to the professionals. I feel blessed that our parents have that faith in us,
Nice.
So, and they believe that we will do good things and things with the objective of keeping their children able and noble.
तो मैम अभी हमने जितनी बात करी अभी तक हमने we spoke about AI, we spoke about gender, we spoke about the shift happening in the children's mindset. So there's a huge transition happening now in the education side. What do you think the school should adapt to which is more relevant and supportive with the current changing trends? What is your suggestion as an expert?
Well, I don't know whether I'm an expert. That time will tell. When my children are able to go out there and are satisfied and happy and successful. I first say satisfied and happy because satisfaction is so important. You can be successful and not be satisfied, That's why I say satisfied and happy first and then successful. I think that will determine our approach, our way of doing things, whether it be parents or teachers, whether we have been able to do the right thing. Please don't forget one thing, that the people who have brought about AI did not learn AI. Yet their imagination and their aspiration, and that's why those two words are so important for me. Their teachers didn't know AI, right? And that is something, if you look at Apple, he talks about, Steve Jobs talks about his calligraphy which helped him. So that multifaceted platform platform that we provide to our children helps them to become multifaceted. And these are the things we need to remember as a parent and as a teacher. Because we do not know that their imagination and their aspiration, what it will glean from a situation which will make them think differently. But with good intention, good faith, when we give children something, it always will resonate and go far.
Very beautifully said, ma'am. I completely resonate with you. It's like, sowing a seed
Yes.
and giving the right amount of love, care, faith, belief that this is what you are going to be tomorrow, right? And that's what children are looking forward for. I 100% agree with you, ma'am. I mean,
Thank you.
this is very beautifully spoken about. और एक चीज़ आपने बड़ी अच्छी बताई मैम यहाँ पे कि कहीं ना कहीं जो हमारे बच्चे हैं आज, they are looking for that kind of positive push. Because मैंने recently I did a survey among the students and I was just asking 10th, 8th, 9th, 10th के बच्चों के साथ में, what do you want in your future? You need fame, you need money, you need a career, what you dream for, right? What exactly do you need? ये तीनों options में से, they said we don't, तीन मिल जाएंगे हमें. We are confident about it, right? We have a complete confidence in ourselves. What we want is to be happy, to be satisfied. We don't want to get Monday blues, like what we have been seeing it growing throughout our life, right? We just want to enjoy our life, and I think that's where your aspiration comes in, right? It's very important for us to really connect what this generation is really looking forward for.
So true.
This really takes me to one of the area which I think I always come down and I really have that chat with you. और हमारा conversation हमेशा यही चालू होता है, मैम लास्ट में आप कहाँ travel किया और अब कहाँ travel करने वाले हो आप, right? So and I think traveling is something जहाँ पे आप और मैं connect करते हैं यहाँ पे काफ़ी, right? Because most of the times we keep checking out कि आप कहाँ पे हो, where are you traveling, what did you learn, what are the whole things. So आपको लगता है कहीं ना कहीं traveling is a great way of educating our current generation, and also do you see somewhere it really creates a strong foster bond among the parent and the child?
So our methodology has two prongs. One is curiosity. We believe that a child learns when a child is curious, and a child learns when a child is not curious. And now when a child is curious, the child asks. And that is our methodology. Application, skill and knowledge. It's an acronym, ASK. So A is for application, S is for skills, and K is for knowledge. But going one step further, we also have something called task. That's trips, application, skill and knowledge. And for me, trips are the biggest learning and motivation for learning aspect, So I think it's very, very important to travel, to undertake trips, which we do for our children, There are trips to learn a concept. There are trips to learn integrated subject application. There are trips for exchange programs. That's the cultural, the heritage, the history, etc. And there are trips in the school for enhancing your competitive skills. Right. Like if you take World Scholars Cup, it culminates at the Yale University, so the children go there. And MUNs that happen, dance, like last year children were in Italy for a dance, global dance festival. So we have kind of put it into 4 categories, these trips as we call them, or travel like you said. And this is a huge learning. I've seen children diametrically changing after a trip,
I think I 100% agree with you, because whenever I have traveled, I think there's something I've learned it. Whether it's the people interaction, culture, or the knowledge, what I have studied on the books, I can see practically how things were, why it was written over here and how it really works around for us. We actually find the purpose.
Yes.
What is my purpose over here?
Keyword, purpose. Like Sir Ken Robinson said, purpose.
Purpose. I think it's absolutely a school ownership and responsibility somewhere to really ensure these kind of trips have been made for the children, because that they really learn how to go in a group, collaborate in a group, teamwork comes in, communication comes in, decision making comes in, a lot of things comes in.
So many.
And when it talks about parent over here, I think parent also need to start, they certainly do their trips, but somewhere consciously they have to start thinking about, hey, you know what, हम जा रहे हैं trip पे as a family, then I think we need to all explore ourselves. Right? We need to also see कि कहाँ पे I can grow myself over here, because trip will always help you to give you that your self-reflection. Are you independent enough to really, take the things forward? Absolutely. For a child, for a parent, for anybody. Absolutely. And what is your take? This is one question which immediately comes in while talking to you. Connection before correction. What is your take on that?
I always tell teachers, first love the children before you admonish them. And I believe in that. Why does it happen many a times? I won't say it's 100%, but I'll say 98% of the times, the children know that I'm saying it for their welfare. You know, I remember one day I scolded a child for the length of the skirt. And I didn't say it to her very nicely. I have my ways of saying it, you know.
Yes.
But that day I knew I hadn't said it nicely, and I went back to the child the next day and I said, sorry, baby, I didn't say it nicely to you, but I hope you understood. I said, ma'am, I completely understand. You are saying it for my welfare. And it is important and imperative that we also show them that we have done wrong and, you know, apologize to them when we do wrong and not try to only justify ourselves, you know. So that balance is also important from adults so that we set a trend for them to follow.
Right. Thank you so much. I mean, I really enjoyed this conversation with you. It was quite an eye-opening discussion. There are a lot of things I learned it today with this.
That's your humility, I know. You are such a humble person. You do so much, and what you have done is a absolute benchmark for others to follow. And I hope and pray that you grow from strength to strength and do well. And but thank you for your kind words, and thank you for choosing me to initiate this beautiful platform that you're going to provide people.
No, but I mean, we are very grateful, ma'am, that you take out some time over here to have this conversation with us. I mean, we spoke about multiple areas, you know, multiple dimensions altogether. And that really gave us a lot of insight over here to really understand how changing environment is happening and how it's really affecting the whole stakeholders, and the kind of your insights going to be very valuable, you know, for everybody, whether it's a student, teacher, parent, whoever is listening to this conversation over here is going to be helping you to really understand that how things can be taken up. You need not to worry about. I mean, this is what the transitions are happening around. And for our listeners, this is going to be just the tipping point. What we have just crashed in upcoming episodes of Beyond Books is the podcast, and I am Chetan Jaiswal signing out.